Hi everyone, and welcome to another Impish Creations video. Today I thought for a little fun we would take a deep dive into the now revealed Queen of Hearts gown. I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that I'm really proud of, show you some of the detail work that I did, and then tell you where we're going from here in terms of the costume. So let's start. It's going to be a little funky with the contrast and the lighting because I've got a beautiful white gown and the sun is shining from the windows, so let's work with it. Shall we? Okay. This is a gown in two parts. So you've got the bodice and then you've got the skirts, and that was really standard for the time. Allowed for versatility in the gowns. You can swap out the top and the bottoms and change your gowns around and have more, like I said, versatility and variety in your wardrobe. Not that that would really be an issue for the Queen of Hearts. Anyways, so the bodice, as you can tell, probably took the most detail work, obviously. It is fully aligned, fully boned, bodice that is back lacing, spiral lacing with hand sewn eyelets. Oh yeah, sexy, sexy. Really proud of those. I learned to do those last year, and yeah, really proud of how they turned out. They look lovely. So you can see there's the inside of the bodice. For the competition, everything had to be just chef's kiss perfect, and that meant finishing all seams, so there was a lot of handwork obviously with this costume. Everything, all the seams had to be hand felled, so the seams all got finished and tacked down, no raw edges. And then I've got the boning channels over top, and just for a cute little addition and reinforcement at the top of the boning channels, I put the little hearts. I thought, hey, you know what, who knows, I might get some bonus points from that. And it was a little fun for me, right? Because, you know, I had so much time towards the end. Got all my piped seams. Hand did the piping, not hand did, I made the piping myself and then put them in the seams. So that was new for me. I hadn't made piping before, and I used it very rarely. So yeah, I'm still learning, I'm getting better. But I piped you see the top and the bottom hems. Those all got piped as well. The Bertha collar, that's this swaggy thing, was probably what adds the most weight to this. It is hefty, and it's just a couple rows of ruched lace with the really nice hand-painted lace. As you can see, those little hearts, handed each one of those, tacked onto the bottom. Cool story, bro. I had the lace on the sleeves before I painted it, because it was one of those, like, I need to have a wearable costume, detail work can happen later, and I decided that it needed it. So yeah, last weekend I was hand painting and just hoping I didn't ruin all the rest of the red of the white at the same time. Here I handed the ribbon trim. So what that is I think that's a 2-inch width of satin ribbon that was pinked. So I've got the little zigzags on either end, which stops it from fraying and also gives it just a nice little detail. And I did a rosette style trim, kind of like origami, with the little fake pearls. So that took a lot of work. That was a lot of sitting there and accordion pleating, and yeah, but it was fun too. I really, it's one of the techniques that I was really pleased to learn for this costume. I'm really proud of. It's something that I always expect on like Marie Antoinette kind of dresses as well. So, you know, fun for the future. I don't know. And then we've got the central motifs, because of course with the Queen of Hearts you have to have hearts represented, and they can't be just subtle. So I kind of considered this to be her her house symbol, as you would think in like Game of Thrones, and that there would need to be representations of her house. So she would have hearts. I don't think I used enough hearts, truth be told. I really wanted this to be a super bold statement, and I don't think that came across quite enough. These were like the 11th hour, these rosettes and motifs. Those were an 11th hour edition. They were supposed to be on big poofy bows. They were going to be red, and then I realized the hearts weren't going to show up, so I changed it to white, and then the fabric I cut was too narrow, too long, so the bows that I made didn't look quite right, and so I trucked ahead like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the day I'm going to be doing photos, and just kind of tacked these onto a heart, put on some faux pearls, stuck in a rose, and called it good. The shoulder motifs were actually offcuts from the skirt hem that I made, and I had some rolled hem fabric left over, and like these were just supposed to be huge voluminous bows with more heart motifs in the rosettes, and I didn't have time. I don't know if I'm going to change it from what I have here, or add ribbons behind them maybe, or change and make these a little bit more heart-shaped rosettes. I don't know how that's going to come off, but like I said, I don't think I have enough hearts, and yeah, this really needs to be over the top. I'd love to do like a red ribbon across here just to really make that distinction there. Originally, like I have rhinestones. I was going to do a thing of rhinestones, maybe alternating with crystal and red going across the top to add some glitz and glamour. There's a plain row of stitching here that I was actually going to do red pearls across, and ran out of time, and they were looking a little bit wonky, so I took them right off. I'd rather have it plain than imperfect. So yeah, the Bertha's not done. It more is more. This is the Queen of Hearts. More is more. The Bertha itself, I've seen 2 different styles. I'm finding pins everywhere still. This is crazy. Don't hug this costume. The Bertha actually swags from shoulder to shoulder, and I've seen that in extant garments. But as you can see, it puts too much tension on the lace, so the lace doesn't sit nicely at the back. What I've also seen, there's the lace to close the costume. What I've also seen is that like a center back closing, and I was trying to hide some of the eyelets, but since I've seen in extant garments that the eyelets were exposed in really expensive high couture garments, then I think that's what I'll do to take that tension off and make everything sit a little bit flatter, a little more flush, and then I don't have to worry about having a strange shoulder closure under high tension all the time. And if I move and shift the garment, it might come unhooked, and nobody wants that. So I think, yeah, it was an interesting experiment, but yeah, floop, 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 floop. I don't like it. So that needs to be fixed. The rest of it, the construction, the fit is really, really great. I mean, the center point is a little bit wonky, but honestly, I don't mind that at all. Let's move on, shall we? I'm just gonna drop it on the floor. Yay! The skirt. The construction of the skirt is beautiful. It sits really, really nicely. I need to put another closure on the back just because it's a really hefty, heavy skirt, and that poor closure is kind of going. So I think a double closure might have it sit up properly where I want it to go. It's too plain as it stands. Way too plain. Plain in regards to what I've seen in extant garments, and too plain just to go with the bodice. The bodice is so over the top in comparison to the skirt that I find that right now they're a mismatch, and I need them to really just look like they belong together. So I need to pull in some elements to tie them in. I managed to get, this is the same ribbon trim, so that's the cut satin hand done with the ribbon into the rosettes and the faux pearls, but this is a wider width. Oh, sorry, that one was 1 inch, this one's 2 inches. And yeah, it's really, really pretty. Originally there were going to be 3 motifs. Once I got this girl constructed and put together, and using this width of ribbon, I found that the 2 motifs, the 2 hearts, really, they fit the best. And instead of trying to squish a small heart up here, I felt that it wasn't going to do it justice, so there wasn't a point in having that there. But they're really, really empty for as fancy and as much work that went into making them. It's just not enough. So I intend on putting more of the cut ribbon roses into the center, whether I fill them completely and then do like maybe a white heart or something, I don't know, or leave white space and then have the ribbon hearts in the center. I'm going to play with it and play with the positive and the negative space and see what works the best. Maybe do some rosettes of either the satin or in the actual ribbon roses, put them on the sides. I actually wanted to do sort of like a heart filigree in either more of this trim, or I also have red satin cord that I could use to do that, but then I would also have to pull the red satin cord into the bodice and figure out where there would go, so there would be a tie-in. Ha! Decisions. But now that I have time, I can have fun with those decisions, because I have stuff. I have oodles of stuff. As always, you overbuy. Like, this was such a work in progress, and there were changes being made in my mind, you know, the more I was doing it, and I was making it more and more complicated, and then as time was running out, I was having to make it less complicated and try to figure out things I could use that would, like, fill space but not fill time, and so I've got red satin cord, I've got white satin cord, I've got more of this stuff, I've got pearls of every different size, I've got gold accents, white accents, red accents. Should I put some more black accents in to tie more of the black together? The whole concept of the black was just like the outline of a playing card. There's always that outline. So I wanted to make sure there were outlines everywhere, but I feel that in the skirt there is the outline, but it's too subtle. Taffeta. So here, this is more piping that I had to make, and I used a bigger gauge twine inside to make it, but it's a little subtle, so I don't know if I need to put another row on top, or get a black satin cord and do some filigree with that, or add some black accents. I don't know. Gonna play with it, gonna see. The hem of the skirt I'm really, really, really proud of. The skirt circumference is 174 inches. Just chew on that for a bit. And now, these are box pleats. The ratio of box pleats to the distance it has to cover is 4 to 1. 4 to 1. So this is over 500 inches of fabric. So that's many yards of fabric that I cut into strips and then seamed together and then had to hem. And it took me 2.5 hours to press into these absolutely gorgeous box pleats. Like, I'm super proud of this. Like, hi! But it's not done. Because there's the hidden gem that I never got to use. I'm so choked about. But it just, there was no time. And the handwork that would have to go into this, making it, was just redonkulous. So if you see, it's white. So the top half of this is actually faced with the white taffeta. And what's supposed to happen is that you fold it down and tack it, and then you tack the 2 little stitches at the top, and you get sort of like a triangle or a diamond shape. See there? So there was going to be another white accent all the way around, and I was going to do, I don't know, a red rhinestone, a clear rhinestone, a red pearl, a white pearl, something as an accent in there. Crazy, right? 174 inches. Yes. but my seam line is too high up, it's too close, so it gets this weird ugly shape instead of the nicer diamond shape. So there are 2 rows of stitching. I have to take it all out, move it down, then tack all of them and figure out what I'm gonna do. So yeah, there was no time for that. No time for those shenanigans, but God, it's gonna look amazing when it's done. Oh my God. So that's the skirt. I mean, I had to hand sew all of these roses. That was until midnight on like Saturday night last week, a week ago. God. But yeah, it looks so good, and it had to be done. It had to be done. And then of course I had to tie the 2 together, so I need more ribbon roses up here to balance the bottom, etc., etc., etc. And finally is the velvet train, which is a joke, frankly. It is just some cut leftover velvet that I had, and I cut some strips of white fun fur and I sewed it on. It has no waistband, it has no method of actually staying on the gown. We tucked it into my waistband and prayed for the photos. It's not lined, it's very plain, and so I've got the red cord, not red cord, white cord, and I want to do corded heart motifs in filigree across it. At the very least, I want to have something in a transition between the fun fur and the velvet itself. Just, it has to look more. There needs to be more. Like, you have to know that this is the Queen of Hearts coming and going. So, yeah, it's all just futzing and trimming and design work that is all the really exciting stuff. And it's going to be hours and hours of hand sewing. My fingers have almost forgiven me. I've got calluses. You don't want to know what's happening to some of these fingers because of hand sewing, and I don't usually use a thimble because I don't usually use a thimble. But yeah, so more work ahead. I think it's going to look amazing when it's done. Don't get me wrong, I think it is amazing now. I'm really, really proud of it. I put heart and soul, there is blood, sweat, and tears literally in all of those in the gown as it sits so far. And then there's the whole concept of the underpinnings. The corset needs to be remade because it was too large a size, so I need to buy the size down in the red threaded corset, remake the corset, and then finish it properly. This is not my hoop, so I've got the stuff I need. I need to make my elliptical crinoline finally to put underneath. I need to make a chemise to go underneath because right now I've got corset on bearskin, well, a corset on tank top, and that's just a no-no. No. The queen deserves some lovely linen, and then I might be able to do, I don't know, hand crochet some lace and thread some ribbon through and have that sticking up over the Bertha, because that was very popular, is to have a very fancy bit of lace on your chemisette and have that just peeking over your neckline. So yeah, details. It sounds like I've got months of work ahead of me. Who knows how long it's going to take me to finish it. And then I'm going to cosplay the costume and do a whole photo shoot just cosplaying the Queen of Hearts, as opposed to taking glamour shots of the actual gown, which is what I had to do for the competition. So it wasn't about being the character, it was about showcasing the gown. It's like, hands away, don't touch anything, don't crease anything, don't breathe. And try not to look as exhausted as I was. And I was. And I still am. So that's the costume. Thank you for sticking with me for this super deep dive. This is probably my longest video yet, and if you stayed to the end, thank you very much. Please consider liking and subscribing to my videos. I'm hoping to put more of this content out. If you want to support me in more projects like this, feel free to check out my Ko-fi page. So that's ko-fi.com/impishcreations. Buy me a coffee, throw me a couple bucks. Helps me out with materials costs, because of course they ain't free, but I do buy on the cheap. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope to see you again in the future. Let me know what you think of the gown. Give me some recommendations of what you think would look good going forward, and we'll talk again. Bye!